What's up, narrators? This is Mo. I'm back with the Narratives Per Possession podcast, where we connect you to better basketball narratives. And we have, since the last time we've done a pod, we have actual NBA basketball being played by NBA teams. And so I'm excited for our guest tonight because we're going to get into the Los Angeles Lakers, none other than the Lake Show. There's always great stories to be had, and I'm excited to have credentialed media member for the Los Angeles Lakers, but also national NBA writer for The Guardian. She is Claire de Lune, and I'll bring her up to the stage. Welcome, Claire. Thank you. Let me Mike. What are we doing? Says your mic isn't connected. Let's see. Is it possibly your headset when you plug that in? I will say also, impromptu, while we work through the magic of connections, I'm going to quickly plug. Also, Claire is a very accomplished musician. Download, listen to Tiny Deaths. Yeah. All right, got you. Please listen to Tiny Deaths. Is her music, and it's fantastic, guys. It is absolutely fantastic. But we have Claire on tonight. We're going to talk Los Angeles Lakers basketball. The Lakers have two preseason games under their belt. And as many questions I have about this Lakers roster, to be honest, while we're working through the technical aspects of things here. Oh, I hear sound.
I can't hear you.
Oh, but you can't hear me.
I can't hear you.
Okay. For the record, your mic audio is coming through.
Let's try this again.
All right.
I can't hear you though.
No, I can't. Okay, so you can't hear me, but I can't hear you. We'll work through this.
Let me try. Can you say something?
I hear you. I hear you.
I can't hear anything. 1 second.
So I hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday night. Claire's working through the headset audio. We at least have the microphone working, so I'm optimistic about that. We just need the headset. Also reminds me of the time of way back in the day. Second episode, I had Esper Haney from The Athletic, and I will never forget this. I started the pod with my mic on mute. These things happen. Podcasting is a wonderful creative world, and you never know what happens sometimes with your audio. So, Do you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I hear. We got contact. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. That was really weird, but I just did so much troubleshooting, and hopefully I'm here now.
You defused the bomb. Like, you should be MacGyver, because however fast you made that happen, you made it happen. And
Sorry
I will
about that.
say, yeah, no problem. Not the first microphone issue in the history of this podcast either. One of the things I said, just to like fill in dead air, the second podcast I did ever, it was with S. Barry from The Athletic.
Oh, nice. That's the homie.
And yeah, he's a cool guy, great guy. And I started to pot off with my mic on mute. Very funny thinking that as like, yo, bro, you got a mute microphone. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't know what happened when I feel like everything was fine until I was muted and then all hell broke loose, but we're back. So,
yeah, these things happen. Well, technology. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast tonight. Just right at the back, I also gave an impromptu plug to Tiny Desk. We will talk about
oh,
that later.
thanks. I couldn't hear anything you were saying. So, whatever nice thing you said, I appreciate it.
Yeah. But I want to talk about the basketball side. As I
Yeah.
mentioned, you work your way into the credentialed space with the Lakers as well when covering different things related to the Lakers. So definitely want to have you on. And then also, I mean, you have a great just point of view in general covering the NBA nationally for the Guardian.
Thank you.
To kind of set the stage first for the Lakers, I did watch the first two preseason games. We really don't need to go too in depth with that because I
Yeah.
thought it's hard to make any. Well, first of all, it's preseason basketball, but then two, like Luka and LeBron haven't taken the floor yet, so it's hard for me to just judge like what the surrounding pieces of obviously those two focal points of a basketball team, like what that's going to look like yet. But
Mhm.
the thing I thought that was a good way to set the context for this upcoming season of the Lakers, I did consume a lot of what all the conversations were during the Lakers media day and even that preceding press conference with both head basketball ops Rob Pelinka and then JJ Redick, head coach of the Lakers.
Yep.
The phrase that is lodged into my head and I keep kind of cycling through over and over is from JJ Redick when I'm going to paraphrase him a bit. When he talked about, he's asking his team, he's asking the guys to show up with like championship communication, championship shape, and the championship habits. It's the habits that I'm curious about. And like you sitting through that media day, hearing the media day conversations you sat through with the Lakers, what kind of vibe are you getting from the Lakers with their mindset and what they're trying to take into the season? If it's championship habits, that's kind of like the mantra being pushed out there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought on media day, everyone seemed like they were in really good spirits. Like, spirits were high. People seemed bought in and happy to be there. And there was like no drama. I feel like those championship habits have shown themselves a little less than one would hope in what I've seen of the preseason, like especially on the defensive end, just like not seeing a lot of what you would hope or expect as far as like if championship habits is the sort of like mantra going into the season. But like, yeah, I mean, the vibes were great at media day and it, any kind of off-season drama that had seemed like it was brewing over the last few months, like definitely didn't seem to be an issue.
Yeah, at least from the top of the organization. I mean, it was also noteworthy that, after just one season, I mean, to JJ Redick's credit, I mean, objectively, that was a good first season, I think, for
Yeah.
a rookie head coach who had no previous like professional basketball coaching experience, not even like college level
Yeah.
or like secondary professional level. He came
Mhm.
in straight from this mic I'm sitting in front of, and he goes
Yeah.
to Los Angeles Lakers to a 50-win season. It seems like, to your point, certainly no drama in the brand trust between Redick, Pelinka, and a new ownership group coming in. So from that standpoint, it seems like there's a leadership structure that's at least bought into this concept of championship habits. I'm with you. I do question, like, do they have the championship roster yet? And maybe that's like
Yeah.
my next question is like, and I'll go back to a piece that you wrote over the summer for the Guardian. I mean, you wrote kind of I'll call it like a recap or assessment of free agency. You
Mhm.
had the Lakers as a loser of 2025 free agency, or specifically LeBron James and Luka. Like,
Yeah.
it sounds like from your point of view, the moves, if the Lakers are really trying to do championship moves or have a championship habit, they need a championship roster, right?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that piece was before they got Ayton because they got him on a buyout.
Okay.
I think after, but I still would have hoped that they would have moved that first round pick to improve a little further than they did. I wouldn't call their I don't think their offseason was actually that bad. I just don't think it was like exemplary. I think it was good. I would give it like a B.
Yeah.
Like I think it was good. It was better than the previous season. I think losing Dorian Finney-Smith in the way that they did was not a great look. But I am someone who's relatively high on Jake LaRavia, so I think that nets out to like about a net neutral, maybe a little bit of a loss, just because Dorian, I think, was such a great locker room presence for them last year, and he's obviously very close with Luka. But Luka signed his extension after they lost Dorian, so clearly there was like no bad blood there. Yeah, they just haven't made a lot of like trades that have moved the needle, and I'm someone who feels like if you were a 50-win team, 3 seed, LeBron is, this is probably his last season, at least with the Lakers. I feel like you go all in and you see what you can do with this group and how you can improve. I would hope and expect they still have moves to make before the trade deadline. The problem is more so that like they keep doing this thing where they make substantial changes at the deadline and then there's just not really enough time to gel before the playoffs. And so I would have loved to see them come into the season with whatever their roster is going to be for the year and like have that time to gel.
Absolutely, yeah. And I agree with you because I don't think you can discount the impact you get where if you do the trade deadline move, it sure helps out a lot when you do have that following off season for the team to come together and gel. I talked about this a bit. I'm sure either I wrote about it for or either wrote a piece about it for nearest per possession. I may have talked about this with Caitlin Cooper herself when she was on the pod. But that trade that the Pacers did, Indiana Pacers did right for Pascal Siakam, the reactions and the takes on it were at the time like, oh, is this really a needle mover? Maybe it didn't look like it was a needle mover at that particular point in time, but that summer, that past summer, they sure figured it out, and you do need that to a degree. So I think you bring up a great point where it's like if the outlook or the thought is, okay, Rob Pelinka is going to look at things like come January, February and try to go make this big splashy deal. It doesn't really give you a lot of runway to really have the roster gel together, especially given what you're talking about, where it's like this is 41-year-old LeBron James, still high level all NBA player, but like you just can't do those kind of sort of optimistic projections of like multiple seasons with him. Like every season has to count.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if we're thinking about like what kind of moves the team could make, what would be the ideal set of moves? Because I like the defense is also my big question for this team from what I saw in those first 2 season games. I've seen like rumors that have associated like Walker Kessler with them, but it seems like now that Ayton's on the roster, I don't know what kind of sense that makes. It would seem to me like there's some opportunity sort of like in the point of attack defender kind of bucket where like they need to address that.
I would say the Walker Kessler thing is, I would say, not entirely out, but like highly unlikely, both because Danny Ainge really just doesn't like doing business with the Lakers, and also because now that they have Ayton, I feel like it's not redundant, but I just don't think that's like a great allocation of resources. Also, the asking price for Walker Kessler, from what I've heard, is like 2 first-round picks, so which the Lakers don't even have, and nor would I think they would spend them if they did. I would say like Rui Hachimura's role, but like the defensive minded version of that, I think would be great. So like a wing that has a better skill set on the defensive end. There's definitely been a lot of rumblings about Andrew Wiggins. I feel like that would probably be a good fit. Like not perfect, but I think obviously a vast improvement over the current situation. They just like that starting lineup right now, assuming that they keep it pretty much the same from last year and subbing in Ayton for Jackson Hayes. It's just like too offensively tilted. There's just like not enough defense in that starting lineup. Like I would say for sure, Austin, Luka, and Rui are all like maybe not quite one-sided players, but like heavily favoring the offensive side. LeBron, I think, is a really skilled two-way player, but he just can't exert that much energy on both ends all 82 games at his age.
Yeah.
And then Ayton obviously is way more of an offensive player than a defensive player. So, I mean, I think a good sort of way to start fixing that problem would be to start Marcus Smart over Rui Hachimura. But I think in an ideal world, you would have someone like an Andrew Wiggins who's bigger, stronger, and can kind of compete on both ends of the floor.
Yes, and to be fair to Marcus Smart, also, I mean, Marcus Smart just hasn't played a lot of games over the last few seasons.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that seems to be like, to be diplomatic, I mean, it's a risky proposition to somehow expect that you're getting like high functioning defensive player of the year type Marcus Smart just at this stage of his career.
All season. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, that's not, like I said, it's not like the ideal solution, but I just mean of the players available, I think he makes more sense, at least from like a roster balance perspective. Like Rui, I think the more touches Rui gets and the more involved he is in the offense, the better he plays. And so to me, it makes more sense to bring him off the bench, but there's like the ego part of that. And like no matter how it really ends up functioning or if it even increases your minutes, it is a demotion in the eyes of pretty much every NBA player to go from being a starter to not being a starter. So there's like politics involved in that. But as far as like use of resources, use of players' strengths, like I do think that makes more sense to me.
Yeah. One thought that pops in my head too, and I asked this question because like there were some moments in Summer League that actually kind of like I was legitimately intrigued by what I saw. Is there an opportunity at all for Brian James to have some impact on the defensive end? Because I mean, there's like that possession you had in Vegas where like he really locked up Cooper Flagg of all people, like went at him, and it seemed like that that could be the starting point of like Bronny recognizing what the where he stands in the hierarchy of this roster and where can he logically make impact in his minutes. Like seems like that might be the side of the ball.
Yeah, for sure. I think the issue with Bronny is I don't think he's a well-developed enough player yet to like warrant those minutes. Like even if he has certain skills that would be useful, like I think that there's still several players ahead of him in the pecking order. Like I think Gabe Vincent will likely and probably should get way more minutes than he does this year. I think Bronny's probably still like a year away. I mean, the thing is that's funny is like he was a one and done college player and he barely played in college. So he's still just like really young and underdeveloped. And I think he's probably another year of like G League and NBA reps away from being like a really even remotely impactful NBA player. Like I think he definitely has some interesting skill set, but like I don't see him in the rotation really right now.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. And certainly in the second preseason game, I mean, Gabe Vincent, his debut for the preseason, he looks like he's ready to be the Lakers' sixth man from what I saw. Like he started popping off in the second quarter of that preseason game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Gabe is that it's a little hit or miss, right? So like some nights he looks incredible. I just don't think he hasn't, at least in his Lakers tenure, he just hasn't been like reliable. But he's a smart player. He's a hardworking player. I think he does have a lot of upside, and I think he's a great locker room guy, like good leader. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be like the sixth. If I had to guess, like the sixth man role, it's like as far as minutes, it's probably going to be either Jared Vanderbilt or Jake LaRavia or Marcus Smart, or like whoever between Marcus Smart and Rui isn't in the starting lineup will probably be the sixth man. And then as far as 7-8, it'll probably be Jake LaRavia. And then that 8-9 is Gabe, Vando. Like I don't exactly know how that order is going to go, but
yeah. I could definitely see the Jake LaRavia aspect of it because what was interesting in that second preseason game too also was just the amount of ball handling Jake LaRavia was doing. And I don't know, I won't say that he's necessarily like an elite ball handler because, some possessions he had in the first preseason game it didn't look great with him having the ball in his hand as much as he
Mhm.
did. But maybe that's something where over the course of the season he grows in that area, and that might be something the Lakers could lean on for six
I feel
man
like
kind of contributions.
they kind of have like an embarrassment of riches with ball handling between Austin, Luka, and LeBron. Like they really didn't have to have very many possessions, if any, last year where none of them were on the floor. So I just don't think that skill is really at a premium for the Lakers right now. Like I don't think like obviously it's great to have, but I don't think that's what's going to get people on the floor. I feel like someone like Jake, it's going to be more, can he defend and can he be a catch and shoot threat? I don't think he's going to be doing a ton off the dribble just because they do have so many like super high level, super elite facilitator creators.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great point. On the consistency front as well, another Lakers player that I like, I think I'll say like just bluntly, like my concern levels is growing about him from what I've seen um, in Vegas and then in these first two summer preseason games. Dalton Connect. Like
Yeah.
he obviously had like an up and down rookie season where it's like there's some moments where he really was flashing great things, but then
Mhm.
the trade happened, the trade gets rescinded. Seems like he really hasn't bounced back. Just outside looking in, like it seems
Yeah.
like he hasn't, and it's kind of carried over into like he just seems like out of sorts. Like, is there something he's focusing on, or something he could be doing differently to help him bounce back this season?
I mean, I think it's a combo. It definitely does seem like he's pressing, and like I think it's kind of spiraled to like the more shots you miss, the more in your head you get. And it kind of does seem like he's in that sort of like internal turmoil right now. But I also think he had serious flaws even when he was playing at his best, like the questions on the defensive end and the sort of like discipline and that sort of stuff. Like I don't mean discipline like dedication to working out and stuff. I mean like discipline to the game plan, like that kind of like the basketball IQ stuff.
Yeah.
Those were always a question with him, even when he was like shooting the lights out of the gym. The idea with him was always like, if he can be the shooter that he showed flashes of last year and he can improve to like average to like slightly below average defensively, then he can have utility and like stay on the floor. The problem right now is that the shooting isn't there, and that's sort of his only real calling card as like an NBA player. He's a really bad, like a really damaging defender, and has been his entire NBA career so far. So yeah, like I don't see him being part of the rotation right now, honestly.
Yeah. Which becomes a real, I imagine, a tough catch-22 because I mean he's already been, the Lakers did in fact trade him.
Yeah.
So like I can't imagine that like they're all that jazzed about, oh, let's like allocate minutes for him or what have you. But at the same time, it's like if they could somehow find a way to like kill two birds with one stone of like, let's acquire another win now piece and at the same time find DK a home, like it seems like that's a tough nut for them to crack this season.
Yeah, I mean his trade value is, I would say, pretty negative right now. Like he might be worth like a second round pick at the moment, and he was a first round pick a year ago. So like he's definitely diminished in trade value. I'm sure somebody, I mean, Charlotte was about to, like, I'm sure somebody will talk themselves into the project because he does have, like, he's super athletic. He jumps out of the gym. He is a really, like, high level shooter when he is on. And so I think those are attractive qualities to somebody. But I think they would definitely have to attach stuff to him to trade him right now.
Yeah. Which, that's probably going to be a tough proposition given the Lakers aren't swimming in draft capital.
Yeah.
I would hope for him. I saw some of him when he was in college, and the point that you bring up is a great one about him. I mean, he is an athletic player, and he has a above the rim game. Like I would hope he just starts to lean into that more instead of like you said, he's pressing it. Seems like to a degree he's kind of forcing shots when he just shouldn't. And I think there's other ways he can impact the game if he just kind of locks in on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, Earlier, so you mentioned like media day was a drama-free event, which is a great thing.
Relatively, yeah.
Relatively, perhaps by Los Angeles Lakers standards, it was
Yeah.
drama-free, but it wasn't without the comments that came from LeBron James representation when it came into opting in and getting ready for the season. And LeBron, even today, we know LeBron is making decisions about cognac. Have you made decisions about your cognac today, Claire?
I'm not a cognac girl, so that was an easy no for me.
That's a solid decision, to be honest.
I'm not a brown liquor girl in
I'm
general.
far beyond that. Those are my younger days. LeBron, he there's a lot of speculation, just no other way to put it, about like, where's LeBron after this season with the Lakers? He's playing on an expiring contract for, as far as I know, the first time in his career.
Yeah.
If you had to hypothesize, is there a realm of possibility where beyond this season LeBron suits back up for the Lakers, or are we like in a very mysterious territory with them on this roster?
I think if they win a championship, which I'm not predicting, but like I think, or make the finals, or like I think if they have like a really, really successful run this year that makes both parties, the Lakers and LeBron, like rethink the partnership, I could see him having another year there. If I had to guess right now, like the Lakers or the field for next season, like I would take the field at the moment. Like that's not based on any like inside intel or anything. That's just like my, I don't know, intuition about the situation. Like I don't think LeBron loves that he's on an expiring contract. To your point, he's never been on one before. And the Lakers have sort of been messaging all summer that they're sort of like ready to move on. So, and I'm sure that doesn't feel great either. So I don't know. If I had to guess, I would guess no. But I think if they have a really successful season together, then I think that could look totally different.
Yeah, it's definitely it's certainly a question that needs to be I guess like openly explored at this point. Is he's been in Los Angeles for so long, and it's
his
kind
longest
of,
stop.
yeah, it's his longest stop, and I don't think it can really be underappreciated, like how big of a change that's going to be just in the whole zeitgeist of the NBA. It's like him not being on with that franchise anymore. There's a actually this becomes another LeBron and liquor conversation, I guess. Your question during NBA Media Day, which made rounds, I thought was actually a cool question.
Thanks.
You asked LeBron, like I'll paraphrase it a bit, but the you mentioned that there are all these narratives that focus on LeBron's age versus LeBron and basketball, and just with that framing, I want to ask you, what are the actual basketball things, especially for like going into this season? What are the actual basketball things that people should be talking about when it comes to LeBron James?
I just feel like the age, it's not irrelevant, but if you take the age out of it, he's still the best teammate Luka's ever had. He's still, you know what I mean? And the level he's playing at right now, he was 6th in MVP voting. He was 2nd team All NBA and 6th in All NBA voting. So like just the first off the ballot for first team All NBA. He's was playing at an extremely high level last year. I thought without a doubt he was their best player in that Minnesota series. And had some like incredible, especially like defensive highs in that series. He's just playing at a really high level. And so that's why I asked that question, is because I can just put myself in his shoes and like how frustrating it would be to be still playing at this like really, top 10 player level and have all the conversation be centered on like, well, but you're this age and like this is what we expect of someone from this age, so it's going to happen eventually, versus like it hasn't yet. Like he really, I mean, of course he doesn't look the same as he did like in Miami, he's older, but he's still one of the best players in the league and he's still playing at a super high level. So I don't know. I just feel like the concerns about his age, I think, are more related to our preconceived ideas of what that age looks like versus the actual basketball player that's in front of us and the level that he is at still.
And so, yes, I would agree with that. I mean, you look at his production still at this stage of his career after 23 seasons. It's phenomenal. I mean, just
Mhm.
it's no other way to put it. And it's not just like, he's not like tailing his career just trying to like white knuckle through it. I mean, he
Yeah.
is a high functioning, to your point, top 10 NBA player still.
Like, he's not
Uh,
just good for a 40-year-old. He's really good. He's good just by NBA player standards. So,
yeah, I mean, he instantly raises the floor and at the same time ceiling of any other NBA team in the league. Like, just full stop. Like, that's
yeah,
his impact.
for sure.
Yeah. When you actually just segueing off of that, we look at this whole league now and sort of the ebbs and flows of what happened over this offseason. It was definitely an interesting offseason. I thought the free agency started off slow, but there's some real power dynamics that have shifted within the league. And I guess I like asking you, wearing your broader NBA coverage hat, what do you think of the state of this league going into the season, and perhaps the Lakers tie into as well, is like, where do you project the Lakers in the hierarchy of the West and perhaps the league overall?
Yeah, well, I think the East is a mess. That's I'm not breaking any news there. Like, there's it's I don't even know really what to make of it. Like, Orlando could come out of the East this year, I think. Like, I think the Knicks are gonna be really good. I think it's really smart the way, Mike Brown has been, like, evolving their offense to be a little less stagnant and a little more creative. Like, I'm excited to see what that looks like. Cleveland should still be really good, but, like, Boston, we went into last season with them being, like, very clearly atop the East, and they're a complete non-factor this year. You have the Pacers, who were just in the NBA Finals and are now, like, probably not even a playoff team or maybe, like, a play-in team. So yeah, and then obviously the Bucks, like, I think weren't really a factor last year and again won't be. I think Miami got worse. So, like, I mean, I don't know, like, the East is just kind of a disaster, and I think anyone's game as far as that sort of, like, middle tier of teams. For the West, I would put the Lakers in, like, a second tier contender. So to me, the top tier is pretty clearly, like, Denver and Oklahoma City. I think maybe you could throw the Rockets in there, but with the Fred VanVleet thing, it's kind of TBD as to what they do about that. But I would say, like, Oklahoma City and Denver to me are on a tier of their own. And then the Rockets, the Timberwolves, and the Lakers, I think, are on that second tier where they're, like, in the mix. But I would say, like, they'd be less likely to come out of the West to me than those other two. Um, and then the rest of it is just a bloodbath. Like, there's Wemby lurking in San Antonio. Like, I don't think they're ready yet, but they're gonna make more noise than they did last year, I think. And um, I mean, depending on if the Clippers get to keep Kawhi Leonard, like, that's kind of an interesting team too. And yeah, I mean, I think it'll be really interesting. But I think that sort of 1 through, I guess, the playoff teams, like the 1 through 8 seeds of the West, I think is, like, it's kind of just who can stay the healthiest and be the most clicking at the right time in April, May, to me. Like, I think, like, all of them are really talented and all of them have things that you could get excited about.
I would agree with that. And if I feel like this past season more than any other season, it really has. Everybody talks about the parity, but I think more and more it's not even the parity anymore. It really is like just the brutal war of attrition now for like a roster to be as deep as possible. And you see these teams now more and more talking about like how they're prioritizing depth. I mean, the Pacers themselves, they've I know Rick Carlisle has mentioned a few different times where like the depth of our team is a important factor for us, and we want to maintain that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like whoever is standing on 2 feet come April and May, that's who's your leader at that point for
Yeah.
the title.
Yeah, and like when you're sort of clicking. Like I think the Lakers last year kind of peaked at the wrong time. Like they were looking their best in like March, February, March, and
Mhm.
then kind of went on a little bit of a skid right before the playoffs. And we're just sort of, I think the timing was not great for that. Um, so yeah, I think it just depends. You want to be peaking at the right time. You want to be staying healthy at the right time. Um, but the funny thing about the Western Conference is like last year it was like a game separating like third through seventh or something like that. So it's not like you can afford to just drop a bunch of games at any point in the season, really. Like if it will impact the seeding versus the East, I think there's a little more leeway there.
Yeah, the East, it's been pretty common now. I feel like over the last 2 or 3 seasons, we're in the East. You get a real separation of the talent from, I feel like, the 3 seed. From the 3 seed up is like that's firewall where like that doesn't change all that much. But yeah, once
Mm-hmm.
you get to like 4 all the way down to honestly the 10th seed, like
Yeah.
there's some volatility there. That's because it's the junior varsity league, unfortunately, in the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the top end talent in the East last year was, I think, like just as good as the top of the West, but it's more once you get past, yeah, those top three ish teams, it's like a pretty precipitous nosedive.
Yeah, takes a big fall. I want to wrap on this final question because again, during the technical difficulties of
Yeah.
audio, I did make a point to preemptively plug your music as well. You
Thank
are a
you.
very accomplished musician, a very deep catalog out there wherever people consume music. Listen to Tiny Deaths, amazing music.
Oh, thank you so much.
I want to ask you this question because it's actually a personal one to me as well. Like these are two aspects of my life that like are prominent. Covering basketball as a writer and writing music. Like, how do those two creative aspects of your life? How do they, I guess, like overlap, or how do they inform each other?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're obviously both creative. As far as like writing, I mean, I think I try and put writerly things in every article I do that are kind of like songwriter type ways of looking at something and like put little just like turns of phrase or things in there, mostly just for my own enjoyment. To like be creative, even if it's like a news story. But I think what's cool for me about media is it like decenters me. Like it's about other people's stories and like I think of myself as a storyteller, kind of first and foremost, like regardless of the medium, whether it's music or writing or whatever it is. And the cool thing about being in sports media is it's other people's stories and I'm centering them and sort of like I'm in the background and I'm more just like the vessel to tell their stories versus in music it's just like so much about you and it's so vulnerable but it's also so like self-centered in a way and I think if you're a good artist like you're making art that if it's true to you, then it's gonna resonate with other people, and they can see their own experiences and themselves in it. I think that's what good art does. But like ultimately, it's a lot about like thinking about yourself and thinking about your own feelings and experiences. And it's been really refreshing for me to decenter myself in that way and just sort of like use the skills that I have from music of sort of being contemplative and having empathy and being creative and telling stories and applying those skills to the stories of other people.
That's amazing. I have to say, like, that's amazing. And to be honest, I mean, secret here, like one of the things that I've admired about your writing is like definitely like the storytelling element comes across. And for what I've been trying to do here with this whole platform of narratives per possession, I really am keen on indexing or centering this whole platform about just high quality storytelling about basketball.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've had the opportunity to do some basketball writing as well, and it's interesting. Like the same kind of mindset that helped me kind of grow in being able to write about basketball was thinking about the same kind of way as song structure. Like
Mhm.
that is like that's my core principle for anything I write for basketball. Is like I have to have a very solid structure because it's the same kind of thing where it's like you think about your chord changes, you think about like those
Yeah.
basic building blocks first, and then the melody might come in and like the lyrics and all that stuff. But it's like I gotta have the structure, and that's kind
Mhm.
of the same thing, just like my approach to writing. So like I say all this like it is just awesome to hear that from you because it kind of helps me feel somewhat affirmed about like what I'm constantly trying to
That's
do with
awesome.
this basketball content stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I think if I've learned anything from my own career, it's just sort of like, ask the questions that you're genuinely curious to get the answers to, and like tell the stories that you find compelling, and like just do the stuff that inspires you instead of trying to like do whatever like your facsimile of what somebody else is doing, because I think that's what the kind of stuff that people are going to gravitate towards, is the stuff that feels more like authentic and inspired, I guess.
100%. And I mean that's something that transcends across all creative mediums as
Yep.
well. I mean,
100%.
like I'm sure for you getting started with music, I can attest to this myself. Like when you get started in music, I mean, you're just trying to emulate the stuff that you like, the stuff
Yeah.
that you know, until you start to develop your own voice and
Yep.
your own like approach to the art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
yeah, 100%. Um, well, Claire, I know you keep a busy schedule, so I can't thank you enough for like making time to be on this
Of
podcast
course.
today.
Of
I would love to
course.
have you back, talk hoops, art, whatever,
Yeah.
anytime. So
Sorry
thank you.
about the technical difficulties, but thank you for having me.
No problem at all. I mentioned the Guardian, but anything that you want to plug, anything out there people should know about that you're working on right now?
Um, I'm working on a couple things I can't share yet, but I would say just follow me on social media and I will be posting about them as soon as I can. But otherwise, in the meantime, you can read my stuff on The Guardian. And like you said, you can stream my music at Tiny Deaths anywhere you stream music.
Yeah, definitely do that. For myself, I will just plug obviously, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please continue to rock with us here at Narratives Per Possession. We're a growing platform, and we want to center it on basketball storytelling, like I just talked about with Claire here. And that's why also you should consider joining our Patreon community, where over the past week we're now accepting guest blog contributions for anybody that wants to be a basketball writer. If you have basketball stories you want to tell, join this Patreon, and we will publish your blog contribution. So hit that up. And with that, Claire, thank you again for jumping on the pod. Really appreciate having this conversation with you. And yeah, love to have you back.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right.